Hello, welcome to the Turret of Pleasure here in the Enchanted Kingdom of Hermione. I'm the Lord Chamberlain of the Enchanted Kingdom, and this is our fun center where we get to hang out and sometimes talk about our stuff. Today we're going to talk about the record collection. Now I know that a lot of people will say you don't do much about records. You just like CDs. And you're right. I prefer CDs. They sound better for the purpose of collecting music. They're, for me, a better option. However, I do love records. I really do. And I'm a bit of a nut for records, like a lot of people. And I have a lot of records still. I sold all my valuable ones, or at least a goodly number of them, because I realized for what they were worth, I didn't need them. I had them in CD, I had them on YouTube. So I sold them, and I made a good chunk of dough out of my record collection. I was quite happy, and it was easy. I didn't have to do it on Discogs and all that stuff, which people don't realize is a lot like a full-time job. I didn't want that. I just wanted to get rid of them and get money, and I did that. And I thought I did pretty good. But I still do collect them, and I got lots of room, and my tastes are wide indeed. So one of the things I'm a complete sucker for is classical records, because I do love classical music. And nowadays, classical music on vinyl is all but worthless. And people who collect classical music on vinyl, or who did avidly, are starting to pass away. And their records are appearing everywhere. And I've been the beneficiary of these over the last little while. And the Empress recently came into possession of some free records. Now she's on the phone. She goes, "Hi, there's a thing. They got boxes of free records. Normally, I don't want these because they're gonna be junk." But the Empress has developed a really good eye for what I'm likely to want and what I'm not likely to want, especially in the CDs. But now in this one, she goes, "Well, it's mostly choral music and opera." Now, I like opera and I like choral music, but they are not at the top of my list. And especially choral music. I don't listen to a lot of it. I've used it for a lot of things in my music creations, but really, when you get into the chorus, I collect the chorus records because I'm a record collector, not a chorus music collector. And the same kind of goes for opera, although because it's a repertory collection, by which I mean I want to have one great recording and performance of every major piece of classical music. And I've got the space for it, so I'd like to do that. And it's not hard to do because knowledge is power, and you get boxes of free records thrown at you, which is what happened here. Now, we don't talk about records a lot on this channel because we don't get many. So I got a whole bunch of records here I've gotten in recent times, most of them from this one lot, but a couple from here and there. And so I can go into a little bit more detail about how I do records. Nowadays, record collecting is really trendy. There's a million channels out there, which is partly why I'm doing this one video. Because there's record collecting channels, but the modern young collector, it's funny. You will never ever encounter any of these videos about collecting records without there being some mention of the value of the records involved. Now, I'm one of these guys, I don't care what records are worth. I actually kind of prefer it when they're not worth anything, but they're super cool and they have a reason to exist. A good recent example of this is I found a copy of the Elektra Records #1, first LP they ever put out, signed by Elektra Records founder Jack Holzman, and it's not worth anything. It's worth $30. But I love that. I'm gonna keep that record forever. And So I have what I call, and I've gotten it down to a science. It's almost digital, where I have 6 categories of records there are in the world, and this applies to CDs as well. And there's the category 0, the dreaded category 0. I don't want it. Throw it away. Send it anywhere else. I don't want it. Why? It's just worthless to me. Category 0. But the dangerous ones are category 1. Well, if you give it to me, I'll give it a good home. Well, let's just say that I have acquired an enviable opera collection through category 1 records. You know, somebody gives me a giant box of something that's quality. I'm not going to throw it away. It's like burning a book to me. Obviously, category 2 records are records that I'll buy, but I won't pay much for. Thrift stores. Back in the old day, category 2 was like a 25-cent record. Nowadays, it can be as high as a $2 record. $1 is the happy medium. Category 2. Category 3 is, I'll pay $5 for it. Or, I'll pay a almost collector price for it. Category 4 is, I will probably pay $20 for it. Category 4, yeah, I'll, how much you want. And category 5, of which I've got maybe 3, is name your price. How much do you want for it? I'll just bend over for you. And I've only bought, how many of these have I bought? They were all quads, I think. One was the Firesign Theater, Everything You Know Is Wrong, and I just said whatever. And counting all the postage and the futzing around and stuff, it was $75. And the other one, which the story is too long to tell here, where I bought my Quadradisc RCA 4-channel copy of Metal Machine Music from the guy that ran 20 Skadillion Watts Records, and that ultimately cost me $50, and I had to spend a weekend recording that record at 4 RPM in my basement, which took all weekend, so I could tape it for that guy because he didn't know what it was. He thought it was just noise. When I told him it was just guitar sped up, he begged me to tape it, in which case I ended up with a pristine copy of Metal Machine Music in Quadradisc quad. Cost me $50. That, and the other one was Dark Magus by Miles Davis, Japanese pressing years ago. Bought it from a guy at the falafel stand for $50. I was just like, how much you want for it? And that I ultimately gave to a friend because I now have it on CD. So there's the category 5s. What we're going to look at here is a whole lot of category 1s and 2s. Oh, but there's a 4, and these are all free, or almost all free. One wasn't. Anyway, starting, now this is from the quote. Now, this is the thing. So there's 3 boxes. Okay, well, bring them home. We'll go through them. Okay, now when she said there was 3 boxes, she didn't realize that in the world of the record collector who is not a young weightlifter, a box of records is roughly 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot and is relatively movable. No, these were in giant fruit boxes like this big. And they, for an old man like me, these were, let's just call them really heavy. Stuffed full of records. And anyway, she shows up with 3 of these. Now I'm going to bet there was maybe 350, 400 records here. And I'm like, and it's all choir and opera. So I'm like, let's see. Anyway, and a lot of people won't give a shit about any of this stuff. But a good example, and I left most of these in the car, but a good example of the category 1s is this record, music by Lortzing, Highlights of Der Waffenschmied, which I am going to guess is a Straussian opera. What's his dates? He's from the late 1800s. The Vienna Volks Opera Orchestra. This is going to be as light as meringue. Look at that photo. Now this, I waffled, and I'll give it a home. First of all, because it's in perfect condition. It is a rather interesting mono copy. It is indeed made in Canada. So, in whenever this would have been, the powers that be that ran London Records, what is there a year on this? There are never years on these. Note the delete hole. So this was released and deleted. Nope, not going to say. It's Black London. So I'm going to say it's, well, whenever mono turned into stereo, I'm going to say. But somebody in the corridors of power thought that they could sell enough of this record of light Viennese opera highlights. Now it's not going to go back in when you know it. In Canada. And apparently they were wrong and they deleted it, and there you go. So I figured I'd give it a home. Lonely and unloved its entire life, I'm sure. This I picked out because it's in such goddamn good shape. RCA Victor Dynagroove 1965. On a clear day you can see forever. And this record is just in... you're just like, I don't want to send this to the dump. And of course we have the absolutely wonderful RCA inner sleeve, circa 1965. And look at that, mono Dynagroove. Sadly, it's not a stereo. Sadly, a record store deemed it necessary to put a fucking price tag on the label, which irritates me. Yes, as an anally retentive record guy, come on, guys, agree with me on this one. That sucks. Assholes, don't do that. Anyway, there you go. I don't know whether I'll put it in my soundtracks. And there it will probably stay until somebody who's looking for soundtracks digs through my soundtracks. This one. Now, these all category 1. Okay, I'll give it space. Actually, do this one first. Another category 1. Mika Theodakis. I don't know exactly what this is all about, but here's what I do know. He's Greek. Albert Hall, London Symphony, conducted by the man himself. This appears to be about a 1971-ish pressing on Canadian Polydor. Again, Canada. Somebody in Canada thought, we can sell Mikos Theodorakis. Theodorakis, sorry. Address by Mikos Theodorakis. And then March of the Spirit, movements 1 and 4, and then side 2, it picks it up. And then Oedipus Tyrannus. I don't know what to make of this. Anyways, I'm going to figure it out. It was free. And it's a Canadian pressing of a Greek pop musician. It looks like he's trying to aspire to classical. Okay, I'm a sucker for these. I have to keep it. Musically, it means nothing. About the Eugene Gleemen. I don't know what year this is, but this is probably mid-50s. And we have the Eugene Gleemen, sorry. Now, the thing I dig about this is, you see on the bottom, it says, made for the Eugene Gleemen by the good folks at RCA Victor. And back in the day, and I've shown a few of these before, you could just go to RCA and say, hey, we want to make some records. Now, this is cool. This is in perfect condition, by the way. Does not say what year it is. It is not in stereo. And this is made in America. Okay. I'm going to guess Eugene, Oregon. But there's the label. And the label clearly says RCA. And, by all accounts, this looks to be an RCA record. Now, it's not reproduced from original tape recordings furnished by the Eugene Gleemen. But back in the older days, you could get RCA to make your record, and it actually kind of looked like it was on RCA. That's kind of cool. Hey, we're in the big leagues. Well, no, we're not really. Okay. Category 1s. Now we got category 2s. These are dodgy because, again, I wouldn't pay a lot for these. But Janáček's Katia, this is a pretty hard to find opera. It's in Czech, which I don't speak, sadly. Charles Macaras, this is mid-70s. It's on London. Now, these are, of course, the great thing about classical. They're always in great shape. Now, this is, okay. This, I haven't looked at a lot of these, eh? This is on the small label, London. Now, if you look, the label's small. There's it doesn't cover the whole raised vinyl part. And these were later 70s. Yeah, 77, this is. And they were very common in Canada. Canadian London pressings had this feature. In Canada, they weren't the greatest pressings. These were okay. In Britain, this is a British pressing. And I didn't realize they used these. They had these. There's your book. Of course, the books are great. And if the books are in good shape, it really makes a difference. So this is, I don't know how many recordings of this opera there are. I would have difficulty believing there's a better one than this. Elizabeth Soderstrom, Charles Mackerras. Someday I'll play it. You betcha. And like I say, free. It was free. And I'm pretty sure in the giant collection, I don't have it. What? You mean there's more? Yes, another Janacek opera. From the House of the Dead. That cheers me up. Same group of people. Vienna Philharmonic. Ooh, the Vancouver Opera. This must have been shown in Vancouver. Ooh, look at this. Oh, look. Okay, look at all the crazy stuff. Somebody went to see this in Vancouver, I'm going to say. What is this? Dear Patron, Vancouver Opera Marketing Department is once again asking for a few minutes of your time. I'm sure. Wow. Wonder what year this is. Anyway, well, we can guess. October 86. There you go. Okay. From the House of the Dead, also on London. Ooh, but, this is slightly later. London was sort of going all out with their quality. Note that they've made the label bigger. These were digital recordings. 1980, 3 years after that last one. Great pressing, great piece of wax. Weird label, blue on blue. It's hard to read. Not sure what was going on there. Maybe I had to have special glasses. But as a collector of offbeat opera, delighted to get this for free. I would have paid $5 for that probably. Now we've encountered a small problem here because the Emperor has shown up and he is sitting on the pile of records. There you go. I'll just move him as and when. Okay. Again, Sir Michael Tippett. Hard to find his stuff. King Priam, I do not have this anywhere in any format. London, what year? It's on that same groovy label. That is a kind of a psychedelic label, I gotta say. And this is 3 records. This is worth probably something to somebody. Again, beautiful shape. Again, I would have paid $5 for this. David Atherton, the London Sinfonetta Chorus, and the London Sinfonetta, who, let's not forget, also did records with Stockhausen. Yes. Have never heard this piece. God knows if I'll ever. Oh, look at this. You get with both of these, you get a little digital direct cut. Blah 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 blah. Our fantastic new record process, which we don't even understand. So you're just gonna have to take our word for it. But it's great. Excuse me, there, Emperor. And then there's this. Now this is just bare. I would have paid. I don't know. This might be a category 1. I need another Verdi's Requiem, like a moose needs a hat rack. But it's Sir George Solti, it's the Chicago Symphony, it's Leontine Price, Janet Baker, RCA Red Seal. What, this is later. This is, I think, after. Solti usually did his recordings for London. And so why this is on here, it does not say. 1977. So at any rate, there you go. And these are good American Red Seal pressings. So I don't know. I don't think I would have paid $5 for this. Because I do not need it. Period. End. There's no, just women. Where is the Sir George Solti? Because I wouldn't be shocked if... I don't know. It doesn't say anywhere that he's under courtesy of whatever, so maybe he was off. Now, okay. All of these free record things, they almost always yield a pearl. And, Emperor's getting in my way here, so. And there was a couple here. So, As is always the case, now this record collection was specific to opera. There was a lot of choir records, the Fisher Choir group go on. So out of the 3 big boxes of records, I ended up with maybe that many. And the other category ones are in the car. They were just stuff like, 1970s Deutsche Grammophon operas and stuff like that. Stuff it's like, if I don't have it, I'll keep it. However, as is always the case when I find stuff from this era, I found one of these. And if you know what these are, you'll go ding. If you're like me, I'm like a fish, and the bait is that double ring. Now, most normal Angel records, the angel is in a square thing. Double ring means bing, SQ quadraphonic. Okay. So now I don't get super excited about these Angel quads because they're okay. Pressings are okay. They're American. However, and I thought, well, okay, I checked in the quad collection downstairs and I already had this. However, it was moldy. It was, bleh. I don't even know why I kept it. That's how bad it was. It got in a flood. Therefore, I could replace that one with this one for free. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I would have paid $5 for that. However, now here's the one that got me excited. Again, my radar. Now, I'm not a huge Donizetti fan. And, of course, the musical content of this is trumped by the record collectible / technical part of it, which excites me greatly because this record is one of the great groups of records, and I've mentioned them, I think, before, that my old friend Big Tim invented a term for it he called them ghost quads. And what they were, and I didn't bring up a representative other one, but whatever. What they were was, this record was about 1977, yes. When CBS brought quad in, SQ quad, they at first released everything in the same cover as the stereo, but with a big gold band around it. Quadraphonic, huge, different from stereo, quad. And that sort of got the message across that these are quad. If you play these through that fabulous new quad equipment, it will come out in 4 channels. And this was cool, except that people got the notion, sort of like they did in the early stereo days, like I did as a little kid, that if you bought a quad record, you couldn't play it on your regular stereo, which in the case of CD4 records was actually kind of true. You had to use the right stylus. SQ quad records, it didn't matter. CBS records, EMI records, didn't matter. But people kind of shied away from quad. And then there was a brief period of time when everybody at the labels went, well, we should just put everything out in quad because it's compatible anyways. And they did this. And so they didn't use the gold band anymore. They just put the cover on and it just said quadraphonic in fairly big letters across the front. With a big thing like right there, this is compatible with stereo, don't worry. And of course, nobody fucking believed them. So, they tried this. There's a Herbie Hancock thrust where they tried this and it just didn't seem to work. Their market research indicated, nope, people are still freaked out. So finally, as they were giving up on quad anyway, the last batch of SQ encoded quad records were going to be brought to market, and the powers that be said, well, what are we going to do with these? We can't even put quad on them, and we don't want to put them out in stereo. So somebody said, well, why don't we put them out as if they're stereo, and we'll just put a little mention somewhere. Oh, by the way, these are in quad. And so that's what they did, and we called them ghost quads because the old quads had gold labels. There was always something. They had different numbers. They'd have QS numbers or whatever. And so when they decided to do the ghost quads, they simply put them out with regular Columbia numbers on regular gray masterwork labels. And the only thing that you could tell on the surface that they were quad was in this little corner, there'd be a thing that said, this SQ quadraphonic record is perfectly fine to play on your stereo, and even if you don't think so, it's tough shit because this is the only way you can buy it. Yeah, this stereo quadraphonic disc is fully compatible with every audio system, stereo or 4-channel, with no need to change stylus or cartridge, people. Played on SQ quadraphonic systems, it will provide a new and captivating musical experience. It did them no good whatsoever, and of course with Quad dying because they couldn't agree on one format, that, my friends, was that. However, the last batch of these, they're hard to find, and this is a 3-record set, which makes it harder to find. And I've never seen this before, and I would have paid, I don't know, 35, 40 bucks for this. Now, they're weird. Everything about these is weird. Like regular label, right? Regular gray label. However, if you look carefully and again, I don't have a regular one here for reference, the regular Masterwork labels, the numbers are in bold. And these are all in sort of not bold. The only thing that's in bold is side 1. And if you look, of course it's black on gray, makes it really hard to see. And if you look carefully, there's the regular number, M3, 34585. And then on the other side, there's what I'm assuming is the matrix number. And that's QAL 34820. And I guess this record is 34820, and then the next record is probably 312. What's the next one? Yeah, 34821, and so on. So they have quad matrix numbers. So you got quad matrix numbers, you've got no bold face, and it's, I don't know, I'm going to check. On the regular records, on the singles, at the bottom of the spine where it would normally say Columbia Stereo, it just says, it does it here too. It just says Columbia. It doesn't say Columbia Quadraphonic, which the previous edition of quad releases did indeed say. So in other words, they don't really want to push the fact that this is in quad, but the tape is encoded in quad. It's going to decode into stereo fine any old ways. We're not going to fudge it as a stereo release. We're going to try and wring the last little drop of whatever we can out of quad. And this was it. This was it for quad in North America. I'm delighted to find that. I almost hit the roof when I found that. Because, again, my radar just found it. I looked at it and went, wait a minute, not bold type. What? There you go. Okay. That was from the bin that we got stuff. The rest of this stuff is, well, that's not free. Okay, then 2 more free things. First of all, free because it was a wonderful gift for my birthday by my dear friends in the band AK-47, hardcore punk rock like they don't make anymore. My friend Tony Galuza, there's a lovely picture of these dudes. These guys are all old friends. I play in a band with the titular head of this band, if you will, Tony Galuza, who is a very left-leaning fellow, and we have a reggae band called People's War, which is reggae. This is not reggae. This is total balls-to-the-wall hardcore. Titles like Hatred Never Dies, Fascist, Burn It Down, Let Them Pay. You get the idea. This is the first time, I believe, Tony has been on vinyl, at least on 12-inch vinyl. And the man has made 1,000 records, and it's on a really nice piece of wax. Look at this. This is what everybody does now. All the bands that have any kind of following, this is your sort of coming-of-age thing. This proves you're serious. So, now, another thing. Okay, this is the weirdest thing I think I've ever been involved with. Banana Royal, this is the release, folks. I will go into it in a minute. Banana Royal was this chaotic psycho band from Victoria in, I don't know the exact date. This is a long time ago. 1993-ish? I don't know. Sadly, they don't give me any information. And it was a bunch of guys. I can't even remember everybody who was in this band. And they came into my studio back in the day. And they recorded this crazy, chaotic slice of insanity, which owed a fair debt to John Zorn's Naked City. And these guys were kind of fucked up, but they were great. They were like one of those bands completely unlike anybody else. And we got into the studio and we recorded this insane thing. Kill Royal Was Here by Banana Royal. And there's the song titles. Now now you go, well, wait a minute, what is this? A CD? No, folks, this is a USB flash drive in the shape of a banana. And when you plug it into at least I haven't really explored this. I did play a little bit of it. And yeah, it sounds like something I recorded about 40 years ago. So, what is this? Oh, 16 gigabyte banana. Okay. I couldn't find a way to get from track to track. It's just one big WAV file, which made navigation of the songs difficult. And storage of this is going to prove problematic because I really don't want to get it wrecked. But there you go. But one of the fellows who was in the band made this, got in touch with me and said, I want to send you a copy. He also sent me a slinky satin kind of t-shirt of that I don't know if I'll ever wear it, but it was a very nice thing to get in the mail. And so there you go, Banana Royal. I don't know how you get a hold of them. Finally, the one record that wasn't free out of all of these was the one record first record ever that I bought at a record fair. And it was on my birthday, the morning of my birthday. We were going up for lunch, dinner, brunch, whatever you call it. And we realized that there was a record meet right pretty much next door. And I knew that there would be one of my friends from Nanaimo, Jack Tailman, is a good guy. If you collect records on Vancouver Island, you know who Jack is. And Jack always has lots of cool stuff, and he's a really nice guy. Known him forever and ever. So we went just before we went for lunch. And I'll tell you, man, these are not my people. Like, you see the record, the YouTube channels of the record nuts. And some of these people, they're a little tightly wrapped. And you wonder exactly what it is about the records they really like. And a lot of these guys, they're like with records the way a lot of people used to be with hockey cards. You know, like their investments and their, I don't know. And this kind of bugs me. And like I say, I'm much happier getting a box full of free records that aren't worth anything, that are totally cool. But having said that, there are times when one has to bite the bullet and pay real money for a record, because not only is it something you really want, it's also super bloody rare, and the guy who owns it knows that it's worth something, so you gotta meet the guy halfways. And Jack is one of these guys, and he has a lot of cool stuff. And I don't necessarily want that much of it, because there's not much I want nowadays. However, in our visit, because it really was just there to say hi, I dug through his experimental jazz and I found this. And I was really happy to find this. This, I do believe, was $30. I think he was asking 40, and then he goes, oh, for you, I'll give it to you for 30. Worth every cent of $30. It's in really, really good shape. It's on Eugene Chadbourne's own label, Parachute, which makes it, when would this be? 70, doesn't have a date. Come on, Eugene. Oh, 77, and yeah, February and April 1977. So side one, this is free improvisation on guitars. And if you are into that sort of thing, this is great. And if you are into that sort of thing, you would like to know that side one is Chadbourne on acoustic 6-string with a radio, Richard Baker, Duck Baker, on nylon string guitar, and a guy named Randy Hutton on 6-string guitar, who I think was a friend of Chadbourne's in Calgary, Alberta. This was recorded in Calgary. It's clearly edited bits. It's not one continuous performance, but it is 27 minutes and 43 seconds long without any rills. So it's, it's dense. Side two is, I think, I like it a little bit better. We Are Always Chasing Phantoms, Eugene Chadbourne, acoustic 6-string, and 2 prepared 12-strings. Unamplified electric guitar, toys, siren, plastic horns. You get the idea. Henry Kaiser. And now this, I think, is Henry's first recording. Electric guitars, acoustic guitars, plastic horns. Owen Merrick's electric guitar, toy guitar. Recorded in John Jordan's basement studio. Oh boy. At any rate, um, I was really happy to get this for $30. Chadbourne is well, I think I can consider him a friend. He stays here when he is in the neck of the woods. We record his records at our studio because it's a blast and we all benefit mutually. And so his early stuff is very, very hard to find. As DIY as it gets. So there you go. And there's the record collector in me having a good time. For nothing, for $30 for all these, and for the one record, and then everything else was free. Now the problem will be finding space for them, because at the big studio, which is where the classical stuff's going to go, we just finished putting everything away, and it's all nice and tip top, and now there's 3 feet of records put away. But that's what happens when you collect records. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and all that, and get the notifications, because every so often I will actually put out videos about stuff like this. And Microphonic Fool's Seal channel is always a good ambient watch if you ever need to calm down. And yeah, look after each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Take it easy.